We've all been there. You come up with an idea for a project, you sit down to flush it out, then immediately shut it down. You'll come up with every excuse in the book on why not to do it, and you're way too hard on yourself. I get it because I'm guilty of this too. But what if I told you that every single filmmaker that you know and look up to experiences the exact same thing, they just know how to push past it? I'm going to talk about the 5 things that are potentially holding you back as a filmmaker and how to push past them. Number 1 is waiting around for opportunities. Early on in my career, I would sit around and just wait for opportunities. I would wait for that director friend to call me and say, hey, we have this really cool idea that we want you to DP, and here's this cool location with a cool camera package and nice lenses and all this kind of stuff. And that would never happen. I would be waiting for months on end and just thinking, when is the next opportunity gonna come? Until one day I just realized, no, I need to be the person that's actually making these opportunities for myself. I think a lot of filmmakers are guilty of this early on in their career. They'll just wait around waiting for these opportunities to come, when in reality, you need to be the person that's making these opportunities for yourself. And that's what it's like with every single project of mine. It's exhausting to be the one to come up with the ideas, to round up the crew and figure out all the logistics and stuff like that. But that's the only way these opportunities are gonna happen. I've tried to even document this growth on my YouTube channel. One of the big first projects that I've ever done was the Depop project. And that was a time in my life, in my career, where I put my foot down and I said, I'm not gonna wait on anybody. I'm just gonna pick myself and pick an idea that I have and go out and shoot something. And that's when I rounded up all of my friends, booked a location, put my own money into a project, and really just made things happen. And that project was just such a light bulb moment in my career, because I really realized, like, no one is gonna come and just pick you from a bunch of other filmmakers that are as hungry as you. You have to pick yourself first. That's when I really realized that filmmaking is just such a big mountain to climb, and that's why it's hard for people to give you opportunities, because they're also climbing the same mountain. And that's why you have to just start climbing by yourself, and that's where you bump into other people and meet people along the way that can give you opportunities and, you know, start to build together. And that's where you start to really form your core group of people. And then when you do meet those people, that's when you start making opportunities with other people, and your projects can get sort of bigger in scale because you have more people helping you out and climbing the same mountain along the way. And by no means is making your own opportunities going to be easy. Like, when you're first starting out, you're not going to know what the hell you're doing, but that is part of the learning experience. And even if you're just creating small projects, spec projects, short documentaries, anything, it could literally be anything, as long as you're just putting stuff out there in the world, that's going to lead to bigger opportunities. And yes, reaching out to people, going for coffee and networking is a good way to make opportunities happen as well, but I don't think you should be solely relying on that. That will make you feel like you're busy and, you know, you're making waves in your career, but you actually doing work, putting out new projects and actually creating things, that's what's really going to move the needle for you. Not waiting for opportunities is the biggest light bulb moment that I've ever had in my career, and I just hope other people have it as well. Number 2 is being too rigid. A lot of the times I don't let my creativity flourish because I'm too much of a rigid person. Like, how my house is this clean and this organized, this isn't me staging a YouTube video or anything like that. That is because I'm a very rigid and structured person, and that can often hold me back creatively. And in order to help with that and refine my creative process, I've actually been taking a class on Skillshare that is helping me look at creativity in a new light. The class I took is called the Creative Toolkit, and Esteban, the instructor, talks about 6 tools you can use to help you spark creative ideas. My favorite tool he was talking about was how to use your space to enhance your creativity. So for example, I have 2 locations where I do my creative work, at this orange chair behind me and at this very desk. And when I'm using these 2 spaces, I try to only use them when I'm doing creative work. He also talks about deferring judgment in these spaces, and that's what I try to do as well. I'll set these timers for myself for like 1 hour, and I say, okay, for this 1 hour, I'm gonna focus on this creative task. After taking this class, it really just reinforced that these 2 spaces in my house is where I should allow myself to be creative without the fear of an imperfect idea or having the perfect plan all the time. Like Esteban mentioned in his class, creativity shouldn't be a one-time thing. It should be a lifestyle that we choose. Skillshare has other amazing creative classes taught by world-class professionals like professional illustrators, renowned graphic designers, and other great YouTubers you also might watch. For me, Skillshare has been a way to weave creativity back into my everyday life, to play with ideas rather than to overthink them, by learning from other amazing teachers and successful creatives. The first 500 people to use the link in the description or by scanning the QR code will receive a 1-month free trial on Skillshare, so get started today. Number 3 is over-consuming and under-creating. I think this is a problem most people face, and not just filmmakers, and this is something I'm definitely still guilty of myself. But it's easy to tell yourself you're being productive by consuming a bunch of filmmaking YouTube videos and tutorials and gear reviews and Instagram reels and TikToks and all that kind of stuff. Like, you have enough knowledge by now to go out and create something. It's the same thing like going to the gym. If you were just to read how to do a bench press, that's not actually gonna make you better at doing a bench press or make you stronger. You have to actually be in the gym doing the bench presses and, you know, trying to get better and get stronger. If you're consuming a bunch of filmmaking YouTube content right now, like, at the end of this video, please put your phone on the other side of the room and just sit with yourself for 1 hour and tell yourself, for this 1 hour, I'm only gonna focus on fleshing out a creative idea that I have. Scrolling and consuming can give you this false sense of progression, like you're learning a bunch of filmmaking tips and tutorials, but it's really just a distraction. Like, learn to set boundaries with your devices. That's what I do with mine. I use mine in grayscale mode, so it gives me less dopamine when I check my phone. And I also use an app called Jomo, which locks me out of all of my social media for a certain times a day. I think that's really what it takes to create anything in today's day and age, like even creating these YouTube videos. I'm constantly being pulled in a million different directions with notifications popping up. Learn to silence all that stuff. Put your phone on the other side of the room and just learn to lock in. Learn to use your devices as a tool and not as a distraction, and I'm not perfect at this whatsoever. I still get sucked down the rabbit hole some days where, you know, you're just scrolling for hours. But have certain hours of the day where, you know, the device is on the other side of the room and you could just lock in and focus on creating a short film or a spec or a doc. All right, number 4 is making filmmaking your whole identity. And I wanted to include this one because this is something that I'm still working on as a person and something that I'm very guilty of. Personally, filmmaking can like consume me, and it is all I think about. And you can easily obsess over, you know, making it as a filmmaker and finishing a project and thinking about what's the next thing and never giving yourself time to rest and focus on other hobbies and spend time with family or friends. But what I'm realizing and really want to work on is when filmmaking is your whole identity, any little failure or hiccup along the way, that could start to feel like an existential thing and really start to mess with your personal life. Like, this constant obsession that you and I have with this craft is what's gonna lead to burnout and not making this a sustainable career. I think we need to learn to like check in and check out like we do at a regular job. You know, we still obviously have this love for filmmaking that is very deep, but sometimes we have to treat it like a 9 to 5 and just like a clock in, clock out, and detaching ourselves from, you know, what we did that day or how productive we are or how well a project did. That's what I sort of realized after this summer and just obsessing over my short film is like the importance of balance and how important it is to still have a hobby outside of filmmaking. Like learning to take a step back from this whole thing and go for a walk, go ride my skateboard and hang out with friends and, you know, have a life outside of filmmaking. And then once we actually start doing that, that's where like the creative juices come from. You know, for my short film, for example, that idea would never have happened if I wasn't living my life as a kid. So whatever hobbies you like doing outside of filmmaking, like allow yourself to do that. You're allowed to have fun in this life and hang out with friends and, you know, do whatever you like doing and not taking this filmmaking thing so seriously. All right, number 5 is comparing yourself to other people. And I think this goes back to limiting your amount of time on social media. It's so easy to see other filmmakers and put them on a pedestal and think they're killing it. Then, you know, think about your work and where you're at in your career and want that for yourself. And all of a sudden you start to get jealous. And this is something I'm guilty of myself, you know, seeing other people's success and thinking that it takes away from mine and not think you're moving fast enough in your career because you're looking around at all the other people. Keep in mind that social media is just the highlight reel. It's just the curated version of that person and the best possible version that they want to put out into the world. And keep in mind, like, you don't have the full context or the full picture of that person. So don't put anyone on a pedestal. So try to just focus on yourself, as hard as that is. Focus on creating the best possible work you can. If that means staying off social media, stay off social media for a given period of time while you can focus on a project. And I think that saying goes, the grass gets greener where you water it. Focus on watering your own grass. A healthier way of going about this is by tracking your own growth, however that looks like for you, coming up with your own system. What I do personally is I set goals for myself every single year. This year it was shoot a short film, which I did, and shoot a short documentary, which I also did. So I'm tracking my own growth as I go. I also have a freelance filmmaker work tracker that I use every single day. I track what I do. and then it spits out a chart at the bottom. It's linked down below in my description if you're interested in that as well. I really hope some of these tips help you along the way in your filmmaking journey, and if they do, please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching.